Wish.com is out. Temu is in.
I spent $15,000 on this.
Temu has absolutely exploded.
I'm going to be replacing my entire wardrobe using Shein.
I bought the most expensive dresses from Shein.
All right, open this now, baby.
Most people don't understand nearly enough about how the algorithms they interact with every day influence them. To make it worse, much of the algorithmic improvements made within the last 10 years have been for the sake of manipulating you and I into buying more stuff, without us really knowing it. This isn't just about how corporations have reorganized their storefronts or tailored ads based on your search terms. That's old news, and not nearly as effective nor terrifying as our current reality. In the last decade, algorithms have become incredibly pervasive, guiding our politics, our psychology, and our purchasing decisions, to name a few. We've seen a huge shift in how e-commerce sites operate, and that all has to do with advancements in algorithm technology. So, to help us both understand this new system we live in, I've purchased a plethora of items from one of the new e-commerce giants in a legitimate, honest attempt to improve my life. And by doing so, I'll immerse myself in these very algorithms to help us both understand just how powerful they've become. There's an understanding in economics that consumption is always good, especially for the consumer.
What the hell are you talking about?
Meaning, people are happy when they buy what they want. But life is a whole lot bigger than transactions, and we're not just consumers. So when I say there's been advancements in the e-commerce space, I'm really referring to the increased levels of consumption over time, not so much an improvement to society. In fact, I think most demand these days is fabricated, meaning what consumers spend more on now than in comparison to, say, 20 years ago is mostly just mindless consumerism incited by algorithms, not satisfying their needs, let alone improving their lives. In my opinion, and this is a hot take, this all has to do with the fact that never in human history has the average person had as little of an understanding of the system that they operate in than now. And if you don't understand the game, you're the one being played. So I bought not one, not two, not three. Okay, I bought 6 shelves off Temu, but I did all of this
I did all of this for a reason.
Can you see him too? As you can see, this studio is a bit of a mess, and I've really just resorted to using the put a bunch of shit into piles method, and it's driving me crazy. Just like the hair continuity in this video. Anyways, I figure I should invest in some good shelving. But if you look at how much it costs to get even a basic garage shelf from a place like Home Depot, it's just astronomical. It's way too much and it's out of the question for me. So I figure I should look at a place like Temu. Just so you know, everything I bought in this video does happen to be from Temu for no particular reason, but I'm going to be giving examples of algorithmic tomfoolery from a host of different e-commerce sites. Starting with Temu's gamification. Ooh. When opening their site, and especially their app, you are bombarded with incessant mini-games that function as predatory data-driven psychology cosplaying as entertainment. Temu has basically taken the dopamine mechanics of slot machines and integrated them into shopping. You open the app, and instead of just browsing products, you're greeted with spin-the-wheel rewards, streak bonuses, countdown timers, and endless limited-time offers. It might feel playful, but the intended consequence is to develop a habit of compulsion by the consumer. And of course, my favorite part is at the bottom of basically every single minigame, there's a little disclaimer that everyone wins the game. Because by giving the user a sensation of winning something of value, it inspires you to spend what you've won, even if it requires spending far too much money to get a relatively small discount in the form of a coupon. Of course, you could just read the fine print, but like reading the terms and conditions of some random, note-taking AI software, well, no one does that. This trickery should not be tolerated, and any game, or prompt, or any site should be easy enough to understand without having to open a legal document.
I don't shame consumers for not knowing any better, I instead blame the predators who take advantage of them. The worst part about these games is that every click you make, every hesitation, every time you scroll back to look at something twice, the system logs it. The algorithms then serve you more hooks and games calibrated to keep you in the loop. Products you didn't know you wanted, discounts that expire at any second, and point systems that reward you for returning consistently. Okay, do you want to hear about the shelves?
Take a look at this product page. Apparently, this shelf is as tall as I am, and you can even put a bunch of AI-generated stuff on it. Additionally, they say the shelf can hold a literal metric ton.
What is the point of this thing?
My initial impressions of the shelf are fine. I mean, it was easy enough to construct. You don't even need the instructions. To be honest, it takes maybe 20 minutes a shelf, and when it's fully constructed, it's stable enough. The particle board that sits on the shelves is quite thin and is prone to breaking. I just immediately broke it. Oh. All in all, I'm happy with the shelves. They work, they're relatively flimsy, and apparently they can break, but it's fine. It's very cheap, and it organized my space. 4 out of 5.
A decade ago, e-commerce sites mostly relied on showing you what you searched for. Shocker, I know. Now it's closer to a casino floor featuring little wins engineered to fabricate demand. And this makes perfect sense. If you think about it, casinos for a long time have been at the forefront of predatory data science. They figured out that the house doesn't just win because of probability, it wins because of psychology. There's no clocks, no windows, there's free drinks, and maze-like layouts on the inside that make leaving inconvenient. But the real game changer has been their use of surveillance and data. Facial recognition, clickstream heat maps, and predictive engagement modeling are now commonplace at casinos. They're not just watching for cheaters. They're tracking every customer's habits and tailoring their experience based on their behavioral pattern. Cameras with facial recognition link directly to player databases, recording how long you stay, how much you spend, and even how your mood changes throughout the night. That information gets used to adjust offers on the fly, maybe a comped meal, some free chips, or even an invitation to a VIP room exactly when you're most likely to take the bait. What Temu and many other platforms have done is simply port that same casino database model into the digital world. Instead of cameras, they've got your clicks, your hesitations, your purchase history, and probably also your camera. Instead of a pit boss sending you over free drinks, you get a "You've unlocked a coupon" banner at the exact moment you're about to exit the app. I believe that casinos were the proving grounds for this kind of behavioral exploitation, and now e-commerce has scaled it up to hundreds of millions of users who don't even realize they're sitting at the tables. Speaking of being watched, I got these cute little dash cams for my cars because the drivers here in Wisconsin absolutely terrify me.
Really, everyone should have a dash cam. I mean, I don't know about you, but I see like constant near misses and even accidents happen quite a bit here in Madison, Wisconsin, and so I have decided to outfit all of my vehicles with dash cams. I don't know if you've seen, but they can be really expensive. Hence why I bought this one from Temu. At first glance, yeah, it seems kind of sketchy and like just generic Chinese electronic, but as long as it works, I don't have a problem with that. Over the last few months, the suction cup that holds the camera to the windshield hasn't let loose yet. The mechanism that holds the camera to the suction cup is relatively tight, but it does wobble a little bit, and you can see that in the footage. The camera itself actually has two cameras, one for capturing the driving of the road, and another one for the interior / your rear view. To be honest, for the price, this thing is kind of a good value, and when you look at the quality of the footage itself, it's fine. The footage is good enough to see if you are at fault in an accident. Honestly, you're not going to be seeing any license plates from like 50 feet away, but you have to pay a pretty serious premium to have that ability from any dash cam. Overall, I give this thing 5 out of 5 stars. I'm very happy with it. It works very well, and I'm glad I have it. It makes me feel safer.
I want to talk about Shein, because if there's anything cancerous about consumerism, it's fast fashion. Of course, this concept of accelerating cultural fashion trends to quicken the life cycle of clothing products existed long before Shein. However, never have we seen fast fashion perpetuated at this scale. What sets Shein apart isn't just how cheap their clothing is, it's how ruthlessly efficient and cunning their business has become. They pump out thousands of new designs every single day, but they don't do this blindly. Instead, they use algorithms to run tiny test batches of, say, a few dozen items. They then throw those new items into the app, track engagement like who clicks, who saves to cart, and who buys. What makes Shein's system notable is their speed and control. They can go from prototype to mass production in under a week, outpacing even fast fashion veterans like Zara. Then, within a few days, they know what's going to be a hit. The losers get killed off instantly, and the winners go into mass production, scaled at a pace no traditional retailer can match, like it's not even close. On top of that, they've built a vertically integrated supply chain that's unlike anything we've seen. From design to production to logistics to app-based distribution, Shein has a finger on every scale. That means they can pivot designs in days, not months. And while traditional fashion brands might roll out seasonal collections, Shein operates on an infinite season model, always refreshing and always pushing novelty. Then there's their use of social media, which is arguably the most manipulative part. They aren't only advertising through paid ads, they utilize platforms like TikTok and Instagram to make their clothes go viral through hauls, unboxings, and micro-influencer partnerships.
You guys have been loving this series on my channel, so I'm gonna keep rolling out the videos as long as you guys are watching.
Combine that with ultra-personalized feeds powered by algorithmic surveillance, and you get a machine that manufactures consumer demand. They even track emotional engagement during social media interactions to determine what products will trend, a technique known as effective computing. It's the same playbook as Temu and casinos, only here the stakes are cultural. Shein is accelerating the rate at which people feel their clothes are out of style, pushing them to buy again and again and again. Want to see some extension cord organizers?
I have a problem at this studio, and it's that my floor is comprised of electrical spaghetti. It's a total mess, and that causes two big issues. Number one is aesthetic, and secondly, maybe more importantly, is safety. If you trip over these cables, you could get hurt, or even worse, you could damage expensive equipment. When they first showed up, I did not expect them to be wound up in a coil. I thought they would be rigid, but I also didn't do much research into the product page. Additionally, they smell disgusting. You're not able to just insert the cable into the organizer. I had to use a razor blade to cut open a slit that you could then take the cable and push it inside of the organizer. My last complaint is after I installed them, I had to kind of unbend them since they were shipped in a coil. These things typically go for a lot more when you buy them from a more reputable site, and these have worked just fine for me. So I give it 4 out of 5 stars.
Amazon is the giant that everyone already knows about. But what most people miss is just how much the system has transformed in the last decade. The early site was built on simple bestseller lists and basic personalization. Today, the entire platform is guided by algorithms designed to maximize revenue from both consumers and sellers. Search results are heavily shaped by advertising, and sponsored listings dominate the first page. And Amazon's system decides which products rise or disappear from view. That decision is tied to how much sellers spend on ads and whether or not they participate in Amazon's fulfillment network. Speaking of which, the logistics side is where Amazon has built its real power. Their fulfillment centers are not just warehouses, they are algorithmically optimized distribution hubs that decide where products sit, how they move, and how fast they reach you. Unlike most competitors, Amazon owns its own planes, shipping containers, which gives it direct control over both international imports and last-mile delivery. Sellers who use Fulfillment by Amazon are rewarded with higher rankings and the Prime badge, while those who do not are pushed down. Over time, this has forced most sellers to join Amazon's network, giving the company control over storage, shipping, and returns. Amazon also gathers sales data from third-party sellers, which it can use to then launch competing private label products. Ever heard of Amazon Basics? For us consumers, this system comes with trade-offs. The benefit is short-term convenience. Shipping is fast, delivery is reliable, and the catalog is gargantuan. The downside, of course, is reduced competition and less transparency. Cheaper or better alternatives can be buried under sponsored results, and the marketplace tilts towards sellers who hand more control to Amazon. What feels like choice is often curated to keep you inside Prime and the broader Amazon ecosystem. Dynamic pricing is layered over the structure. Prices on Amazon can shift many times in a day. Changes are driven by demand, competitor activity, inventory levels, and location, to name a few variables. Amazon has also moved to a China Direct model for ultra-low price goods like Temu and Shein. In 2024, it introduced a discount storefront that ships items directly from China, of course with longer delivery windows, roughly 1 to 2 weeks. The danger is that Amazon does not just compete with these Chinese platforms. I think that Amazon's going to absorb their playbook. By folding Temu and Shein's discount-driven tactics into its already massive logistics empire, Amazon could tighten its monopoly even further. Instead of losing ground, it may use their strategies to grow stronger, leaving both consumers and sellers with even fewer alternatives.
Over the last few years, my collection of power tools has become quite large. And at the same time, so has the pile of green that sits atop my workbench. So I'm going to need a place to put them. If you look online, you can find power tool organizers for around like $80 to $100, and that's honestly not that bad of a deal, but you can always get it cheaper. So here's one I found on Temu. My first impressions of the power tool organizer were fine. It was easy enough to assemble, and the build quality, once it's fully put together, is fine. Installing it onto the wall is easy, and it's designed in a way that putting the tools and other accessories onto the organizer makes sense. It's an efficient use of space, and it really cleaned up my workshop. I give this thing a 5 out of 5 stars. I'm quite happy with it.
Another mechanism basically all e-commerce apps and websites use to maintain your engagement is an infinite scrolling-based browsing experience. So it's like doom scrolling Instagram or Twitter, but instead it's just doom scrolling again. This way, they use the habits we've been conditioned from social media to extend our stay in the digital marketplace, because it's always just one more swipe.
Given that the studio is like 70 feet long, I often find myself needing to use a push cart, just to like carry around tools or bits and pieces of a project, whatever. So I decided to go with the Temu option, given that a Uline counterpart would be like over $100. This one on Temu is significantly cheaper. Of course, it's quite a bit smaller, but I don't need that much space anyway. My initial impressions of the build quality are not great. The issue actually lies with the casters, or the wheels. They're terrible. Not only are the wheels themselves incredibly sticky and just don't want to move at all, but the hardware that attaches the wheels to the cart is terrible. It's just this little plastic bit that is supposed to hold it in place, but well, it doesn't, so this cart has been downgraded to another shelf. I hate this. This design is terrible. It's so bad.
Shop like a billionaire, my ass.
I'm not happy with this at all. This is definitely the worst thing I purchased from Temu. I give it 1 out of 5 stars. Not happy.
I have something to share with you. You've actually been listening to and watching products from Temu this whole time. In fact, this very microphone came in a duo podcasting kit alongside this mic arm, a terrible audio interface, and some other cheap crap. Additionally, the main light in front of me, as well as the accent light behind me, are also from Temu. And yes, these sound panels are as well. And I guess they look pretty cool, but I'm not sure they do anything. I already had all this podcast gear because this isn't the first time I made a video like this. I didn't post the original because I realized halfway through that my intent for the video was not really my own.
Now, just about everyone on Reddit advises against what I've done today. I think if you told r/audio engineering, oh shit.
I didn't know there was other stuff in the box.
They would probably organize a Kickstarter to drone strike this very studio. However,
I wanted to make a podcast studio featuring equipment exclusively from Temu. The idea came from some common advice given to young people that you should cheap out on all your tools in the beginning of your career and gradually replace them with something more premium once they break. And where on earth can you find cheaper tools than Temu? My original video idea would have extended the reach of these very e-commerce giants because it was closely aligned with that of much other content you'll find on YouTube. The bulk of the content that covers these e-commerce sites actually act simply as a marketing funnel.
Sit down.
Whereas I hope this video will give you the self-awareness necessary to avoid being taken advantage of. I hope.
If you asked me at the beginning of this video how this process of buying a bunch of cheap stuff from Temu would go, I probably wouldn't have predicted that it would go as well as it did. That being said, there was a dud like the cart, and all the other products are far from perfect. You also have to not care about the brand, or rather lack thereof, including the lack of warranty support and returns, the sketchy reviews, and lots of misleading product info in both the images and product descriptions. But if you can get past all of that, sure, you can buy from Temu.
We are living in interesting times. For many, the centralized power of tech giants can be overwhelming, causing an underlying anxiety in life, making you feel powerless. And that's by design. Any system has two main functions. Number one, execute, and number two, preserve itself. These days, the preservation of the system comes less from its utility or stability, and much more so from its oppressive and totalitarian nature. So it's easy to feel overwhelmed and maybe even to give in to our new tech overlords. But if there's anything you take away from this video, it's this. Don't panic. Organize. Change is the product of many individuals' actions, so get out there and make this right. Please vote. Anyways, YouTube thinks that this is the most interesting video I've made for you. What do you think? Higher rankings and the Prime badge, while those who don't... Over time, this has forced most and tactics into its already